Thank you so much, Amanda, for the intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session on how to make coding fun. Forgive me for looking down at my screen. My computer is actually on my lap and my camera is here. So I apologize in advance if you see me looking down. But I'm super excited to be here to speak to you at this Elevate conference. I hope you're having a great time at the conference so far and that you're learning from all the amazing women in their different sessions and talks. And so my name is Sabrina Koumoin. I am a newly senior software engineer at NVIDIA. I work on NVIDIA.com as a front end developer. And so I've been at NVIDIA for around 3 years now. I love it. Moved to the Bay Area for this job. I'm loving my team. And so it's been really a fantastic opportunity to work at NVIDIA. I also am a content creator. So I make tech content focused on helping people learn how to code and making it fun. So, which is exactly what we're about to talk about today. So this talk is right up my alley. I'm really excited and looking forward to it. Also, I have been a coding teacher and a bootcamp coding TA. So I've been in the business of teaching people how to code, trying to find analogies and things that will make the learning really stick. Because I find that that's not everyone's journey when it comes to coding and tech. Unfortunately, it's presented as a very, I don't know, very like strict thing. You know, it just seems like a boys club many times, and unfortunately women tend to be not really attracted to coding at large because of that, and my mission is to change that perception completely. I taught myself how to code at 11 and I was able to do that simply because I found it fun and I made it fun for myself. Okay, so give me a few reactions if you're following. Come on, come on, come on. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Introduction. So on the screen, you can see a Barbie, a screenshot of Sims, and Lego blocks, right? What do they all have in common? You can tell me in the chat, what do they all have in common? But I mean, what they all have in common is that they are all games, right? If you haven't played with the Barbie, which is very unlikely if you're on this call, then I don't know what to say. If you haven't played Sims, that's probably more likely, but Sims is just a fantastic game. It's been my favorite game like since ever. And Legos, if you were probably 3 or 4 at any point of your life, you probably played with Legos before, okay? But that's what they all have in common. They are all games. And I find that when you turn something into a game, it just sticks better. And what's also interesting about these three games that you're looking at is that inherently they're not fun. There's nothing fun about a doll. There's nothing fun about a video game. There's nothing fun about Lego blocks, right? If you give a child a Lego block, like the only reason it's fun is because the child or the person playing with them wants to make it interesting. Okay, you could give a child like a rock and they'll turn it into a game. You could give a child a stick and they'll turn it into a game as well. And that's how you know that fun and play is something that we carry. It's not about the toys, it's not about what you have in your hand, it's about your perspective and your mindset. If you want to have fun and you want to turn something into a game, you can do that. And that's why I believe that as adults, it is our responsibility to change and shift our mindsets so that things like data visualizations and coding and AI and all these very serious topics become more manageable. I find that the people who really captivate me when it comes to explaining data and charts and graphs, like the people who really got the numbers down, they're not the people who are the most technical necessarily. They're the people who know how to make the numbers come to life. So, depending on your career background, especially if you're into data, if you have the ability to make numbers and technical abstract things come to life, you're going to be well versed in this new tech climate. Okay, coding as a game. This little boy right here is playing with a circuit. I like to think of coding or your code as a huge circuit where data flows, okay? And the different pieces of the circuit are going to be our variables, our functions, our conditionals, and what have you. And that's why we're going to play a game with Barbie. Here, you can see that I put the word data on top of Barbie because when I code, whatever is being moved around my code, whatever is flowing in the system is my data. But in my mind, I think of it as an actual thing, like as a person. Now, Barbie, in order to be transported through the code, she will have to enter an object. So here, I just chose to use a Jeep, like a little car, to show you what Barbie is about to enter. Now, this road right here is our code. This is all the stuff that's going to happen when you're writing your code. And Barbie finds this little what is it called, like a sign. Let's go this way or let's go that way. Okay, if we go this way, we're going to the beach. If we're going that way, we're going to like on an adventure. This is an example of a conditional. So when you're writing code, you can make your conditionals come to life mentally. This is all about making the abstract come to life so that it sticks better. And this also helps you a lot in debugging, because when you give your code a story and you're looking for something, instead of being overwhelmed like, oh my god, my code is not working. No, that's not what you ask yourself. You say, where is Barbie going? What is she being transported in? What direction did we want her to go in the first place? And so that will narrow down your search as you're dealing with debugging. So what we just saw was take Barbie for a ride function. This function is written in JavaScript, and here you can see that the input is Barbie. The car is an object, remember? See, that's why I had it as object here. And in this object, we have Barbie as our passenger, and we have the type of car as Jeep. Now, if the car type is convertible, we're going to the beach. If the car type is Jeep, then we're going for an adventure. And in our case, the car type was Jeep, so Barbie is going to go this way. So that is how you can start visualizing data flows in your mind. And I have one more game for you. I know this will be quite of a short talk. I do want to give time for questions. And so I just wanted to play a quick little game before we go. Let's play the game of Russian dolls. I love Russian dolls, okay? I don't even think I had them as a kid, but I just like the idea of just stacking stuff. So let's play Russian dolls. So right now we have one big doll in red and yellow, and we are going to crack it open. Okay. When you crack it open, you see that, wait, there's actually another doll inside. So now we have two dolls. What happens if we open the second doll? You guessed it. There is a third doll. Let's see if we can go further. Are there any more dolls? Okay, so now we have four. Let's see if we can actually get another doll from these four. Yep, and we reached the last doll. So this last doll cannot be cracked open any further. So we've reached the baby, and that's the end of it. Now, do you know that through this simple illustration, you just learned a new programming concept that is commonly taught in computer science programs? I'm wondering if anyone can guess what concept we just visited. What concept are we learning right now? Okay, so Jess said recursion, Jessica said nesting, Neha said nesting, Lisa said loop. Okay, I love this because I didn't even, there's actually one answer that I chose, but I can see how you guys would get these other concepts. I can see how encapsulation might be a valid answer, even though that's not what I was trying to illustrate. I can totally see it because we're putting things in other things. But Jess is correct. The concept is recursion. And let me explain why it is that why it is that recursion is the correct answer. So recursion, a recursive function is a function that calls itself in order to solve a problem. In our case, the action of opening the doll or cracking the doll open is our way of calling that function over and over again. We're doing the same thing. We're calling the function again. It works by breaking down a complex problem into smaller, more manageable subproblems of the same type. The dolls are all the same type. But when you crack one big doll and you open it, you get a smaller doll. So the idea of recursion is that you call the function itself over and over, but then each time you have a smaller sample size. So you're applying the function to a smaller group of things or data. You do that all the way until you cannot go any further. So you do that all the way until you get to the last doll that cannot be cracked any further. And so this function could be represented by the commonly known factorial function, where you put a number and then you get the number multiplied by all the other numbers that come before it. So this would be the code for that. And our n would be 5 because we have 5 dolls. And every time you run the function, you get a smaller number, smaller number, smaller number, all the way till you get to the baby, which is 1. the base case. The base case is the case where you can't go any further. Once you're at the baby, you multiply everything back up to the top, and then you have 5 factorial. So that was just an illustration of how you can learn recursion. Recursion is usually a hard topic for most people. At least it was for me until I visualized it in these type of ways. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this was really cool. How can I do that for myself? And how can I make learning coding functions or AI topics or algorithms easier? My recommendation for you is to use ChatGPT, okay? Usually I'll start with something that I already know. For example, like the what's it called, the Barbie thing, the circuits, the Russian dolls. All of these are things that I came up with myself. However, what you can do is if there's anything about what you're learning that's reminding you of something else, you can ask ChatGPT to explain it to you using that other term. So you can go on ChatGPT and say, explain recursion using Russian dolls, explain conditionals using the flow of traffic. Like there's so many beautiful analogies that you can learn that are really going to cement the knowledge for you. And that's the end of my talk, you guys. But before we go, I'll open up for questions. And I would love, 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 love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn and Instagram. On Instagram, I have a bunch of, similar examples like what I just shared, and I'll be creating a lot more. So follow me there. I think on this picture, I actually show like React JS hooks and why they're called hooks using like a fairy tale story. So you might want to check that out. And I will be having these slides on my website, brinascode.com. If it doesn't work for some reason, just use brinascode.super.site. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for listening. I will take questions if there are any.
There may be some in the chat, but
Okay.
there's one in Q&A.
Okay.
Do you see that, or do you want me to pop it up
Oh
there?
yeah. Yes, I can read it. So Cassandra said, such an engaging session, and I love the Barbie analogy. I'm glad you like it, Cassandra. I'm an aspiring UI UX designer, but I would love your advice on navigating effective cross collaboration, especially between designers and engineers. Okay, that's a really good point. A different kind of topic. So you're in UI UX, so you would be the designer. I work very often with designers because I'm a front end engineer on the website. And so I think that designers can be, so I'll give you tips for how you can make engineers jobs easier, I guess, if that helps, because I'm on the other side. So I think the best way to collaborate with engineers is to do it often, meaning try not to just drop the design without further explanation, because engineers usually like to be left alone, or maybe I'm just speaking for myself, like we just like to have our design and our code and then just start going. The problem, however, comes from the problems arise when there's not a lot of communication happening when the developer is working on the design. So if you're a designer, I highly recommend that as you are creating your designs, throughout the process, check in with your engineering team. Ask them if this is feasible in the first place. Don't come up with designs that are going to take so much time, and then we're not going to be able to do it on time, and then you guys are going to get frustrated with us. Don't do that, please. So make sure you're collaborating at every step of the process. When you're done with your design, show the engineers, get their feedback, ask them if these are features that they can do in the specific time frame, and as they're working on the features, check in with them. Don't let them just disappear and then show you at the end, because then you might have a lot of like bugs and a lot of like things that you want to change. Just do it often. I think that's my advice for you. And then I see Neha saying, how much of coding practice is required for a new coder before they become an expert? That's a great question, Neha. It's hard to be a coding expert these days, honestly. Just to be candid with you, because the field is evolving very quickly, especially in front end. There are always new frameworks popping out of nowhere, and it's like it causes a little bit of JavaScript fatigue or front end fatigue. So I wouldn't aim to be an expert per se. I would aim to learn how to learn and learn how to learn quickly. Sorry, that was a mouthful, but the idea is you want to develop your ability to learn quickly. And I would say that try to do it in your free time as much as you can. And I would say that within about 6 months, you should be pretty decent if you do it often enough. That would be like my timeline. Give yourself like a good solid 6 months or 4 months to get the concepts down, and then as you keep going, it's just up from there. But don't try to just be an expert. Try to be somebody that learns quickly because things move quickly. And use ChatGPT to your advantage. Ask ChatGPT to teach you how to code. It's very effective.
All right. You got time for one more question because I
One
think
more.
this one might take your last 3 minutes.
Okay. I see Ramya saying, Sabrina, can you please share some of the essential tech stack skill set that we need to focus on while preparing for software engineering or software development roles while transitioning to these roles? So, Ramya, this will depend entirely on the type of software engineering that you are trying to do. I cannot speak for every type of software engineering, but I would say that for front end, you're expected to know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and at least one JavaScript framework. So that can be React, Vue, Angular. So the framework that I chose when I was applying to NVIDIA was React. And that's actually how I was able to get my job. So I think React is very widely used, but depending on the team you're on, maybe they have a more niche framework like Vue. So maybe look at your job descriptions that you're trying to apply for and then select your stack from there. Yeah. Do we have time for one more question,
Yep.
Amanda?
If you want to answer one more, we do have time.
Okay. Cheryl is asking how we can make coding practice like lead code more fun. Thanks for asking that, Cheryl. What I would recommend, honestly, go on lead code, put the questions on ChatGPT, and just ask it to make it more fun. Like, I'm serious. This is not even a cop out answer. Just copy paste and let ChatGPT recreate the question for you. It works all the time.